Meanwhile, in Arizona, the Christian fascist party out there has completely lost its goddamn mind. How do I know that? Well, the Christian fascists in the Arizona House of Representatives have introduced a resolution that would seek to declare Donald Trump the winner of the 2024 presidential election, regardless of what the voters decide. Jesus God. This is how insane these Christian fascists have become. And they want to do the resolution now. They don't want to wait till after the election. The resolution now, let me be real here, it wouldn't carry the force of law because it's not a bill. It would be a resolution. However, this is in response to rulings in Colorado and Maine by the legislatures there, the secretaries of state there, that disqualified the Orange Antichrist from the ballot under the insurrection clause of the 14th Amendment. Let me see a show of hands. How many folks really knew what paragraph 3 of the 14th Amendment was all about? Now, it doesn't, you can't raise your hand if you were, American history and government major. But how many of us knew that? I never heard of that. I never paid any attention to the 14th Amendment. I knew it had something to do with ensuring that freed Africans and African American, well, they weren't African American yet, the freed Africans would have the right to vote. But I didn't know about the insurrection clause. Who would have thought it would have had to be invoked to stop a son of a bitch who was trying to destroy the country? Anyway, today, Wednesday, the resolution was to be reviewed by the Arizona House Election Committee. Now, according to the reporter who discovered this, he's a guy who works for KPNX in Phoenix. His name is Bram Resnick. According to Mr. Resnick, the resolution advocates, quote, to change the manner of the presidential election by appointing the 11 presidential electors to the Republican primary winner to offset the removal of a Republican candidate in Colorado and Maine. And Governor Hobbs must sign the election reform measure listed below. And if not, the presidential electors be appointed to protect the 2024 presidential election from another maladministered and illegally run election, end quote. I mean, the balls of these people it's just unbelievable. A maladministered and illegally run election in the state of Arizona? Wasn't Arizona the one that had 2 or 3 or 20 or 100 vote recounts? One of them put together by this crapped up criminal organization made up out of whole cloth by the Trump administration, and even they could not find any kind of fraud or theft or illegalities where it concerned the way the presidential election was run in Arizona. But facts, schmacks, don't think about facts. Just do what the Orange Antichrist tells you to do. You'll be much happier. Shut off your brain. Don't listen to the liberals. Don't listen to the Jews. Don't listen to the women. Don't listen to the immigrants. Don't listen to the Muslims. Don't listen to anybody but moi. Le stat, c'est moi. The last guy that said that lost his head. Of course, there was never any evidence whatsoever, after all these investigations and court cases, that the presidential election in Arizona was rigged or anything was amiss. Now, of course, as you know, the big deal, the breath-holding moment once again in this country, thanks to the orange vomit, was earlier this month when the Supreme Court heard the oral arguments in this case, reviewing, it had to do with Colorado, but reviewing whether states have the power to enforce the 14th Amendment to disqualify a traitorous, treasonous son of a bitch like Donald Trump, the way Colorado and Maine did. And you know what the ruling is going to be. The ruling is going to be against Colorado, and it may be unanimous. You could tell that from the way the questions and the comments were posed and presented by the Supreme Court justices when they questioned the plaintiff and the defendant in the case before them. Okay, so that's what's happening in Arizona. Now, various versions of that is happening all over the country. All over the country. The attempts by Trump and the traitorous son of a bitches, the disgraces to the legal team who work for him. These are not people, these attorneys, they're not people defending the son of a bitch. These are people, these are lawyers, so-called, who are instigating these instances to try to prevent Trump from being declared what he is, a goddamn traitor, a liar, a thug. Isn't there anything in legal canon about lawyers should not defend people they know are guilty? Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. You know, the Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.